crew.
It was Rick.
Commissioner.
Catch me, I'm ballin'. Catch me, I'm ballin'. Catch me like Spalding. Catch me like Spalding's. If he indeed the MC, vitamin like GNC. Can't see me like B.I.G. on CNT. Did a little bit of time on BMG. But this right here, homie, this all me. Can you be down? No, CMB. That's cold, that ain't nice, G. So what though? Lil' homie remind me of Ice-T. By the way, we share the same birthday. The wordplay is work, but f***ing is easy. So catch me, I'm ballin'. I'm sick too if you ain't catch me like coughing. Back when I said you should catch me like Spalding. It's cool, cause most cats that I bump into can't catch me that often. Most times I just end up falling. Ball for a few, then end up walking. Catch me in the ball with a Cinderella waltzing. And I do it till it's no longer exclusive. Might go once, might go twice, but never 3 times like an auction to it. See, I walk into it, I do my thing, then tell the owner that it's cool to let y'all into it. Catch me, I'm ballin'. Catch me, I'm ballin'. Catch me like Spalding. Catch me like Spalding's. If he indeed the MC, vitamin like GNC. Lupe, yeah, catch me, I'm ballin'. Catch me, I'm ballin'. Catch me like Spalding. Catch me like Spalding's. ABB to ALC, man, we stay on the JOB. Yeah, keep me on EV to the TOP. Did a little bit of time on CAP. But this right.
Hello and welcome to the show. I am your host, Cameron Sadeghi. Sorry for that. I haven't been on the air for a very, very long time. As you know, I've really missed it, but really been busy lately, so I haven't been able to do shows. But I do have a special show for you. We got a lot to talk about here. We're going to even have a very great man, Eric Pincus, will join us here on the program very shortly. Well, we'll see. He told me that 3:30 or 2:30, we're not completely sure yet. I asked him and he said practice actually ended early for the Lakers, so he'll talk about the Lakers with us very shortly on the show, so we want you to stay tuned to that. Also, we want to get you to come on the show. We want your thoughts. We want to hear what you have to say. All you have to do is click the little green bubble on the right side of your screen and type any question, any comment, anything that you want, or you can just simply call 949-456-2911 to let your voice be heard on national sports. So, as I said, a lot on the docket today. Let me tell you what is on the docket today. The scoring race. We'll talk about that first and how Kevin Durant and Carmelo Anthony head to head yesterday, and how Carmelo now has the edge. We'll talk about that. Also, the race for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. A lot of people saying, can the Spurs hang on? Parker, Ginobili, can they get through this together? Can they finish it out with the number 1 seed? The Lakers, their troubles, their woes continue with another loss against the Clippers. And the Clippers, they won the Pacific Division. Well, great for the Clippers. Very predictable that they were going to win. The Lakers are a nightmare. One player said that on the team. I'll tell you who said that. Jeremy Lin. He said he's a little underrated. He said that himself on 60 Minutes with an interview. He says that racial barriers have stood in the way of his success. Also, the NBA Hall of Fame. Who made it? Gary Payton? Bernard King? Wait, Mitch Richmond? Who? I'll tell you who made it, what happened, and everything that you need to know about the Hall of Fame and the upcoming class for 2013. Gerald Wallace out of the Brooklyn Nets, a great defensive athletic man. He's been losing a little bit of that athletic ability. He's still a great defender, but he says he has zero confidence in his shooting. I'll tell you why on the show. Also, another guy, Michael Beasley. He's trying to turn his career around, and he's on the Phoenix Suns currently right now. And he says one of the reasons for his success is not listening to anyone. I'll tell you who he doesn't listen to. It's not just the coaches. It's not just friends. It's his family that he's not listening to either. I'll talk about that as well. Also, this Mike Rice issue going on with Rutgers University. Ray Allen says he wants to fight Mike Rice. I'll tell you what he had to say about the issue and more. Also, Forbes.com came out with a new article about the top 10 most overrated, not overrated, but overpaid, rather, NBA players. I'll talk about who those players are, what Forbes had to say, and what I have to say about that issue. Also, the interview will be on the show as well. So, let's start out with Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks coming into Oklahoma City, getting a key critical victory against a very tough opponent, 125-120. Anthony took nearly twice as many shots as Durant. Carmelo shot 15 for 29 from the field, 3 for 6 from the three-point line, 3 for 4 from the foul line. Durant took fewer shots, but less efficient. 7 for 17, 0 for 2 from the three-point line, and 15 for 17 from the free throw line. Anthony had 13 rebounds, Durant had 7 assists. So, again, as you may have heard on the ABC broadcast yesterday with George Gervin, David Thompson, and the scoring race being as tight, this is very, very tight. Now, Carmelo has the lead. I think he can sustain this too because they run their offense in New York through Carmelo. Carmelo is basically everything for the Knicks offensively currently right now. The ball movement's better with the Knicks, I have to say. With the Thunder, with this Westbrook-Durant dynamic, it's starting to become a little ridiculous here. This offense is way too... this offense is terrible with the Thunder. I'm not saying scoring-wise and numbers and statistics. I'm talking about structural offense. Way too many ISOs. It's so stagnant out there. Durant or Westbrook, I saw Durant just clearing out Westbrook to just get out of the way. Go to the other side of the floor. Let me go to work. That's not good offense, okay? I know that old cliche iron team. It's so true here with the Thunder. Look, if you're gonna try, I know there are matchups that are favorable, but when you get in the playoffs with great defenders, with the Tony Allens of the world, with guys like that who are going to jam you up and get in your grill, you're not going to be able to get those clean looks off those matchups. When you're facing the Memphis Grizzlies, boy, you don't really have any matchups that you can take advantage. Let's face it, Westbrook against Conley? Hey, there's no advantage there. There's no advantage Westbrook. Durant against Tony Allen? Hey, Tony Allen's going to be draped all over you for that whole 48 minutes, and we know that. We know that about Tony Allen. Okay? So, again, their offense is matchup related. That's really what they're trying to get. Can I get the best matchup that I could possibly get to be successful? And it doesn't work that way. You can't. Some nights it's going to be off. Some nights it's going to be there. And Carmelo, I think he's going to finish this scoring race out and win it. He's going to be the scoring champion because the Knicks' offense is way better, and they give him easier looks. Okay, with the Thunder, they don't get that many clean looks off. They just generate a ton of points off of the fast break. Okay, it's not easy offense coming off of screens, getting easy post-ups, getting easy layups. It's not like that. It's a lot of dribble, fade away. I gotta make a move, gotta break my man down one-on-one. That's not good basketball. That doesn't result in championships. And that's the reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder didn't win a championship last year. That was the main reason why. I mean, people say, well, James Harden didn't show up in the NBA Finals. Well, you can't show up in the NBA Finals when you don't have good ball movement. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Michael Jordan. I don't care if you're Kobe Bryant. I don't care if you're LeBron James. If you don't have good ball movement, you're never going to win. It's just that simple. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no way of explaining in a different fashion. That is the case. Point blank. And Carmelo has a team who has better offensive ball movement. He's going to get cleaner looks, and he's going to be more successful off of transition threes. And with the Knicks, I feel like Carmelo's going to finish this out. Durant, look, you got a guy in Westbrook who's going to demand the ball, and he's going to really dictate a lot of the tempo. And with this offense, again, too many hard looks for Durant. And it's just amazing how Durant still finishes at the rim, still scores so well, even with not that great of a structure of an offense. It really isn't Westbrook's fault. It really isn't Durant's fault. It's this offense, this structured offense the Thunder have. More ball movement is the key. And Durant, unfortunately for him, he's not getting clean looks because of the lack of ball movement. Knicks, on the other hand, with Carmelo, getting a lot of easy looks because of the ball movement. That's why Anthony will finish this out. Okay, let's move on. The race for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Yes, the Western Conference is very, very tight right now. Okay, you've got Ginobili, who's going to miss the start, who could miss the start of the playoffs for the San Antonio Spurs. And then, look, he's out 3 to 4 weeks. Duncan with the sore knee. Kawhi, injuries lingering. It's just really awful for the Spurs. I feel really bad. This is the worst time for them to get injured. I think the Spurs are better than the Thunder, to be quite honest with you. It's just that the injuries have plagued them, and with Ginobili, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to get him back into that great shape. I mean, look, people are going to say, okay, he's going to come back from the injury. He's going to be fine. It's not that easy. You got to get back in shape. You've got to, be conditioned well. You got to be able to do those things so you're ready for the competition to play at a high level, which they need from Ginobili. And you can't get it if he's going to barely be coming back by the start of the playoffs. It's going to be very difficult for this organization to get through. Yes, they have great role players. Yes, they have really solid guys that could step in and help out. But that's just flat out not enough sometimes. You need those superstars, and you need a guy like Ginobili to get you through, to be that facilitator, to distribute, and to enhance the performance of his teammates. And unfortunately for the San Antonio Spurs, they're going to miss that. Parker, his injuries, just a ton of injuries have been lingering him. He's just flat out beat up. Duncan is struggling right now, even though he's had a great year. Father Time is starting to catch up to them. And I just don't think that when it really matters most, they can catch up with the Thunder in the West or a team like Denver. Hey, look, Denver with the Gallinari injury, that's huge. Okay, that Gallinari injury, that really dictates a lot about the Denver Nuggets, but I still think they can bounce back. I still think the Denver Nuggets are going to make the Western Conference Finals. I firmly believe that. I really do. The Denver Nuggets are a team that you look at, and they've got no flaws. I mean, yes, they don't have a superstar, but you don't need one necessarily. To me, look, I'm being contradictory here. I think you need a superstar. I said that. I said the Spurs need one because of the makeup of their team. Denver doesn't. The makeup of their team, they just have a bunch of playmakers, guys who make the key critical plays when it really matters most. One night it could be Ty Lawson, next night it could be Kenneth Faried, next night it could be JaVale McGee's defensive abilities, next night it could be Corey Brewer, really dictating defensively in the perimeter. This Nuggets team, I swear, if people think, if you're going to sleep on this Nuggets team, how dare you? The Nuggets are a top quality team. A lot of people, you get these major networks who say, the Denver Nuggets, who cares? They don't have a superstar. Big whoop, they're not going to become successful, blah, blah, blah. To me, I see this as a team that's going to be one of the first teams to... You never know. They could go to the finals this year. You never know, okay? I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But it could happen. So, watch out. The Nuggets are heading in the right direction despite that key critical injury from Gallinari. Spurs, they're just too injury plagued right now. They're not going to be able to fight through this in my mind. I mean, look, I don't like counting off the Spurs, but in this case I think I'm going to have to, because I think Father Time has really caught up at the worst time. Okay, maybe after this season, the start of next season, it catches up. But I think it's it. I think the Spurs are basically done, and it's Thunder Nuggets Western Conference Finals. That's ultimately what I think. I thought it was going to be Thunder Spurs Western Conference Finals, just like a rematch from last year. But look, the Nuggets have really impressed me, and I gotta say, the Spurs, I don't know. The injuries are too much to handle. Okay, let's take a quick timeout. We'll be back in a moment, and we'll see if we can get Eric on the show, and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. The Hardwood with Cameron Sadeghi here. And we're supposed to get Eric. We think we're going to get him at 2:30 in about 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about the Lakers right now before he gets on and we segue into what he has to say. First, I just want to say congratulations to the LA Clippers and what they did getting that Pacific Division. Look, the Clippers, with the talent that they have, again, and their great transition offense and transition defense really have been the staple, and then defensively, that's where they made their mark. Only problem with them is their half-court sets. Again, their ball movement isn't good. They try to go one-on-one way too much, too. You look at Jamal Crawford, and my God, it's like, hey, Jamal, are you going to ever give up the rock? I mean, seriously. Jamal Crawford just tries to go 1-on-5. It's sometimes you're like, Jamal, okay, that's great. You're getting your looks, but it's time to distribute. That's just been the problem. And then the free throw shooting with the big men, and then DeAndre. Look, the post game between Blake and DeAndre Jordan, it kind of lacks a little bit. I don't think they're making the Western Conference Finals this year. I just honestly don't think so. I think Denver... Look, I can't understate overstate rather, how good Denver is. The way they move the ball offensively in their defense, in that altitude in Denver, the way they run up and down the floor. It's going to be a tough matchup. For the Lakers, though, we want to talk about them. Steve Nash calls the Lakers a coach's nightmare. It's by Slam Online. This is on Fox Sports Radio. Nash says, okay, on Mike D'Antoni having a tough time this year. I wouldn't say he's happy with where we are, just because it's been a coach's nightmare in a lot of ways. You've had a lot of guys either injured for great stretches, unfamiliar with one another, no training camp to really get the necessary hours in, and finding our balance in who we are as a team. So I know it's disappointing for him, and frustrating because he hasn't been able to really have a full shot at it. And then this is what you have to say on injuries taking a toll on his team. The team has been frustrated. We've had so many guys injured. You forgot Jordan Hill has been basically out this whole year. I missed 7 weeks with a broken leg. Steve Blake missed a ton of time. Dwight's been in and out a little bit, so it's been frustrating. On why this team has a lot of consistency, this is what you have to say. We're not without our flaws for sure. Although it looks good on paper, there are some flaws to our team. We know we could be a little bit more athletic. We could be maybe a better shooting team. I think the biggest problem for us this year has been all the injuries and the change. Okay, look, this is what I have to say about Steve Nash. Okay, I kind of lost a tiny bit of respect from Steve Nash. Just a tiny bit. Look, every team in the NBA goes through injuries, and I know the Lakers have gone through a lot, don't get me wrong. But give me a break. Don't go out here and make excuses and talk about how you guys can't find your identity. I mean, you're just spewing some excuses onto a table and thinking it's going to work out. I mean, look, it's the next man up mentality. That's what it should be. And for the Lakers, you've got to be able to man up and be a tougher, more mentally tough team. I don't like questioning effort, character, toughness. I think that's inappropriate. But I have to say, sometimes the Lakers are a little bit mentally weak. Let's not... I think it's appropriate to say that, because they may be an old team, but there is no excuse. There is no excuse to not get back on transition defense. There's no excuse to play bad fundamental defense. Okay? There really isn't. If there is an excuse, tell me. Because, yes, you do have D'Antoni as your head coach. But in D'Antoni's offensive guy, as we all know, I love the Lakers' offense has really actually been good. The defense. Okay, it's a disgrace to the game. It's a disgrace to the game when you don't get back on defense. It doesn't take talent to get back on defense. It's effort, heart, technique. No. Let me rephrase that. Effort, communication, huge word, communication, and technique. When you play transition defense and you got a 5-on-4, 4-on-2, 3-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-2, 5-on-2, 5-on... No, not 5-on-1. That's just completely ridiculous. 5-on-3. In those scenarios, someone's got to pick up the ball. I mean, it's like basketball 101. How can professionals not execute this? You pick up the man with the ball and stop penetration, and you stop the ball before anything. Before anything. That's rule number 1. Okay? The closest guy picks up man with the ball. That's rule number 1 in transition defense. And they can't execute it. Or when they do, they don't communicate. You know, hey, I got here, you got there, or hey, Kobe, you got your back, I got first pass. It's none of that communication, because if that communication was there and existing, then they'd be successful. And I know they're old, I know they don't have the greatest court speed, they're not athletic. There's still no excuse to have bad transition defense. They're just flat out giving easy buckets up. I mean, I can go score those layups. Okay, I can go run the fast break against the Lakers, it seems like. That's how bad their transition defense is at times. It's awful. It's, again, like I said, it's almost like a disgrace to the game. The Boston Celtics, and Kevin Garnett, as we know, he's really father time's caught up. But he still sprints back on defense, communicates, all heart, all effort, pedal to the metal, not giving up on transition defense. With the Lakers, look, the one thing I try to take pride in is not questioning people's heart or effort, because I can't see that through a person. But let me tell you, when you don't get back on transition defense, that really speaks to your effort and heart. I honestly want to know what the real problem is with the Lakers' transition defense. I want to be in those. If I were in those team meetings, I want to see. I would want to ask, what's the problem with your transition defense? Honestly, down to their heart, because I can't diagnose the problem. Are they really that heartless? I don't want to say that. Is it because of their court speed, effort? I don't know. Someone's got to explain. Someone has to fix this before they're bounced out of the playoffs. I mean, well, not making the playoffs, which they're very close to. We're going to have Eric Pincus on in a very, very, very shortly. This is the Hardwood with Cameron Sadeghi. Back here on the program, Eric Pincus, as you know, will be on the program very, very shortly. He's the senior writer for hoopsworld.com, covering the Clippers and also Lakers 24/7 via Lakers Now blog, the LA Times. So he is Lakers, Clippers, LA basketball dude. Basically, he just knows everything about LA basketball. So we'll get him on very, very shortly here on the programa. Okay, so I want you guys also to call in. We actually have him right now. Joining us right now here on the Hardwood with Cameron Sadeghi is a great writer here with us from hoopsworld.com. Eric Pincus joining us to talk about the Lakers. Eric, as I was just talking about right now about the Lakers, look, this team, as I heard Steve Nash say, that it's a coach's nightmare. I mean, it's really, with the loss yesterday, it's been a complete disaster. What is the vibe that you're getting right now as you were at Lakers practice today?
Well, the surprising news, and I cover the Lakers for the LA Times. I write about the rest of the NBA for hoopsworld.com. When I talked to Coach D'Antoni, he said Nash isn't ready yet. He's doubtful for tomorrow. Lakers play a key back-to-back against the Hornets and then in Portland against the Blazers. But Metta World Peace is coming back ahead of schedule, quite a bit ahead of schedule. He was originally supposed to be out for 6 weeks. He's going to be back basically 2 weeks after he got hurt, 12 days, I believe it is, after surgery. So the Lakers get a little bit of good news on that front. But if you look at the way that this season has gone, they've had injuries from day one. They've had, actually, it's from day two. From day one, they had a healthy team. Their first game, they were healthy. It's the only game all year where they were healthy. So since day two, there's been a revolving door of injuries. And so when Nash says it's a coach's nightmare, it's a real challenge to come in and play 82 games when you have a team on paper that's fantastic. But in reality, you never have that team. You have only a shell of that team.
Okay, that's true, and look, I respect that a lot, but sometimes, with the next man up mentality, you kind of don't sense that with the Lakers. And again, there's really no excuse for the awful transition defense, and I know they're old, but I mean, it really doesn't take that much talent to get back on defense.
I don't agree with that at all. I mean, you have to be able to run back. You have to be faster. I mean, if you have a foot race between a 40-year-old man and a 20-year-old kid, there's going to be a difference, especially when the kid's really fast and the 40, 35, 30, whatever it is. And then also you look at the Lakers and how they're built. You have big men, you have Powell and Dwight, so their strength is, compared to other teams, is height and size. That's what they have that the other teams don't have. The problem with this team is it's built at full strength, is that you're surrounding those two big guys with a rotation of players who are all over 30 years old. And so Jody Meade and Earl Clark represent the youth. These guys are not experienced players. And so when the Lakers have Kobe, Metta World Peace, Steve Nash, Pau Gasol, you've got 4 players over 30. You've got Dwight Howard come off of back surgery. You can say next man up, you can say excuses, but basic reality is no matter how we point at it, no matter what we say, they are slower than the other team. They are. And there's no effort that can change that. You can't effort yourself to run, under a 4-minute mile. You know what I'm saying? Or you can't run whatever the world record is. You can't beat Usain Bolt in a sprint because you want to and because you try harder to. And of course, the Lakers are very top heavy in that they spend most of their money, more money than any team in the league, on big stars. But they have 3 or 4 of those stars, whereas a lot of these teams have no stars or 1 or 2 stars, but they've got depth because they've been in the lottery year after year. And so they've got a bunch of kids who are in their 20s who are going to be way, way faster than the Lakers, and they're going to be youthful, and they're going to be dumber as far as experience. That's part of it. But no, it's not a matter of an excuse. It's just physical reality. The Lakers are older and slower and injured, and so there's no coach who can make them run faster. There's no motivation that can make them run faster. Not, you could do as a better job. Certainly they haven't done a great job, but I'm not going to say and pretend that they've done everything they can with the talent that they have. But there's some limitations. You have to acknowledge them, and you can't pretend that they're not there.
All right, Eric, I want to switch to Kobe. He's been playing a ton of minutes. I mean, he's really putting a lot on his body, and, they're really, and D'Antoni said, I'm pushing this all the way with Kobe. We're going to go big minutes with him, pushing it all the way. Do you think, and I know Kobe's going to accept the challenge because that's the competitor that he is, do you think that he can last, and assuming that the Lakers, let's say they make the playoffs, do you think that even if he were to play these big minutes that he would be able to last and, sustain well in the playoffs?
Well, Kobe came into camp this year in about the best shape he's been in probably 2 or 3 years. It's not D'Antoni who's saying I'm going to play these minutes. It's Kobe Bryant who's saying that, and D'Antoni's allowing him to do it. So it is certainly a decision that comes from the coach because he can limit Kobe Bryant, but he's deciding not to. But Kobe wants to play these minutes. They believe that Kobe can play those minutes. It's a short-term thing. They have thought that Steve Nash would be back sooner, but he hasn't, and he's still not back. And to be honest, they don't trust Chris Duhon and Darius Morris enough to back up Steve Blake. So the issue is that they've had Kobe be the backup point guard in addition to being the starting small forward and rotating over to shooting guard as natural position. So now that you get Metta World Peace back, there's going to be some room I believe, in rotation to rest Kobe a little bit more, but I still think you're talking about 45 minutes a game, simply because they don't have point guard other than Blake and really Kobe at this point, unless you want to go with Duhon, whose defense is really dreadful, and Morris, who's very inexperienced. By the time you get to the playoffs, you're going to need to have Nash back, because you can't have Brian playing games like that. You need to save his strength so he can be at his best at the end of games. And he still is to a point, but I think it's diminished. I think his energy is diminished a little bit over time. You can do this for a week, you can do it for maybe 2 weeks, but at some point it's going to drag you down. You get Nash back, and of course if they make it, which at this point is the lock, then suddenly it's Kobe's playing his normal minutes in the playoffs, which is always going to be heavy. You got to remember also in the playoffs, they're typically on ABC, they're on ESPN, they're on TNT. Games like that are longer. They have longer timeouts. They have longer halftimes. So a player like Kobe is going to get more rest in the game. So it's actually a benefit to him. He's someone who is obviously elite as far as conditioning and ability.
Okay. Do you? And again, like I said, I actually think, with all the things that have been going on, I actually think the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. And assuming that they do you think that San Antonio is the only matchup that you think that they've got a chance, or do you feel like even if they were to square off against the Thunder, they may possibly, somehow, some way, upset the Thunder?
Well, I mean, any team has a chance. I don't think there's any question that you could say that any team in the top 8 has a chance to win. Now, you look at what happened over 82 games, and you say, well, who's the better team? And it's clearly the Thunder, the Spurs. Last night it was the Clippers. They have had a better team over the season, but then you look at the Lakers and you say, well, the Lakers really haven't had that many games. You might look at the number of games they've played together, and even then, they haven't had the continuity or the time to learn how to play. That's why they have so many turnovers. One of the reasons is they haven't had a lot of repetition playing with the same lineups. Everybody's playing in different positions, and Kobe's starting at small forward and then backing up at point guard. So that's not normal, and so because that's not something they have a lot of practice in, it leads to players out of position and guys making mistakes. So the potential exists. You look at the Spurs, and Manu Ginobili's out. He's got, I think, a groin injury. Tony Parker has something both with his shin and I believe with his neck, and so his status is really kind of shaky. I don't know what it is. I don't think anyone knows. I don't think the Spurs are really moving on what's going on there. But if you get the Spurs and they're not entirely healthy, well, that changes the thing. That equalizes things. In the NBA, injuries are the great equalizer. And so now the Lakers certainly have a chance. The issue is that the Spurs are one of the top executing teams in the league. They run their stuff, and they run it well. And the Lakers, at times, are fantastic, and at times are very shaky. I mean, they usually give up every few games or every couple games or even every game almost a 30-point quarter at least defensively. So there are going to be times in a playoff series against the Spurs where they're going to look terrible and times where they're going to look fantastic. I would say so far this year they've played the Spurs very well. Even shorthanded, the difference between the two games is just 5 points. They play them again in a few games. By the time they play the Spurs, I don't know if San Antonio is going to be playing any of their stars. Usually, Greg Popovich likes to rest his players. It's possible that the Lakers get the Spurs shorthanded and might get an easy night of it, although even with the Spurs role players, they play pretty darn well, so I wouldn't even say it's a gimme. But when you look at the Thunder, you have such tremendous athleticism and speed, and they play so well in transition. They have a couple of big bodies. Either Perkins is a big enough body to keep Dwight Howard out of the post, and Serge Ibaka on the weak side coming in with blocks. Very difficult team to play against. And I know that the Spurs have Splitter and they have Duncan and a number of players with size, but I think that the Lakers don't match up as well against the Thunder, and I think that's a much tougher go. Now, do they have a chance? Of course. I think the Thunder will be exposed a little bit for losing James Harden when it comes to the playoffs, but Westbrook and Durant are such a high-scoring duo. It just leaves such little room or margin for error. Whereas against the Spurs, I think that if the Lakers play their absolute best basketball, they have more of a chance. But that's even that. I think given what we've seen this year, I wouldn't necessarily pick the Lakers to be first.
Lastly, before you go, do you think Utah finishes it out, or Utah's got OKC coming up, but do you think that the Lakers get through, or does Utah finish this out to make the playoffs?
Well, you've got one crucial game coming up, and that's the Thunder visiting the Jazz. Now, if the Thunder get that game, it changes the complexion of the remainder of the season, because the Lakers, I believe, will win in New Orleans. We were looking at the Blazers. They've not played well the last few weeks. They have injuries. Nicholas Batum is out. And I think that there's a good chance that the Lakers get those next two games. And if that happens, and the Jazz lose one of those games, lose that first game to the Thunder, well, they may not sweep Minnesota in a back-to-back. And then suddenly, if there's two losses, the Lakers have room to lose one game over their final five. And so now you start to say, well, it's possible, and I think that would happen. I think they would get the playoffs, and the Lakers would make the playoffs if that's the path. Now, if the Jazz beat the Thunder, I think they're going to go in and have a much greater confidence, and I think they're going to be fine. And you start to say, well, maybe even if they lose one to the Timberwolves, the Lakers are going to win out. I don't know if the Lakers can win all these games. I could see them dropping one, maybe to Golden State. And so the door is closed tonight. It's not open until the Jazz lose again. And I think the most important thing for the Lakers is to watch that Thunder game and just hope that it happens. And in the meantime, they just have to keep winning. The best thing that the Lakers can do is win out, which will be a challenge. But I think at this point it's looking more like the Jazz. But Lakers are still very much in this. They just have to win, and they have to have the Jazz lose at least one more.
Thank you very much, Eric. Please go follow this great writer at Eric Pincus on Twitter. Really appreciated the insight, and hope to see you down the line.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so look, great insight there. Look, with the effort part that he was talking about, it's just, look, I just, with the whole effort part and when he made the Usain Bolt reference and the running faster, look, if Kevin Garnett can run, I don't know, okay? This is just a tough issue to discuss. I don't know whether... he's been around the team for a pretty long time, as you can tell. So, he knows. I mean, I trust his judgment. He's a really good guy. He's a very credible guy. He's not biased or anything. I just, honestly, I don't know with this whole transition defense issue. Because whenever I see a guy like Kevin Garnett run back on defense with the fashion that he does, or a guy like Gerald Wallace, you just wonder, why can't these guys do similar? Okay, trust me, I've played, and some of you say, well, you haven't played at a high level, but listen, I've played against teams that were not even close to the talent of our team. But let me tell you, when we get on the fast break, they'd stop you on defense. I mean, the transition defense was the key to their success. Their well-coached transition defense. And some of you say, oh, it's not a factor. Transition defense, who gives a care? It's a huge factor. Lakers, really non-existent transition defense. Okay, let's take a quick break, and we will be back to talk about Jeremy Lin and the racial barriers that he's got to go through. We'll talk about that all in about 30 seconds. The Hardwood with Cameron Sadeghi here. Look, this Jeremy Lin issue, 60 Minutes. It was on 60 Minutes, and Jeremy Lin claims that racial barriers have kind of stopped him and, from being, getting the top college scholarships. And you know what? I kind of... Look, I'm a guy... When I saw Jeremy Lin be this successful, I was really proud of him. Honestly, I'm proud for people's success. I don't care what race you are. Look, there are a lot of Asian American basketball stereotypes out there. I mean, there's no... we all know that. Okay, those of you who love the game, who are around the game, who know the game, you know that. I mean, everywhere you go. I mean, now you get... it's gotten to that point. And Lin really, I have to say he was semi-discriminated. There are flaws to his game, but again, he could have gone to a Pac-10 school, got more exposure. But if you were to ask him, would this be the career... With everything that's gone on, Jeremy, if you were to go ask him, Jeremy, with everything that's gone on, are you happy with how your life has transpired? And I think he would say yes. Okay? This guy was on top of the world when he was on the New York Knicks. I mean, he still is. He's in Houston. He's doing a quality job for the Houston Rockets. Okay, Lin and Harden are really... They're just breaking people down off the dribble like crazy there in Houston. It's just, he was discriminated, but, and again, I feel bad for him because no one deserves that. But he's not a guy who was a superstar. Again, he was not a superstar player, but he did deserve those contracts. And you know what? He was discriminated a little bit. He was discriminated. And I feel like even some analysts today are kind of discriminatory towards Lin. Sometimes. I'm not going to mention any names. Well, I may. But, I honestly think that race shouldn't be a factor at all, in regards to basketball players. And if it still is, then, in this scenario it was. But I hope that this whole Lin issue will resolve racial barriers and racial discrimination in the game of basketball. Because it's not one race or, you get like Skip Bayless is like, well, most players in the NBA are African American. While that is true, look, okay, I mean, that's a fact. That is true. There is statistics. But that doesn't mean it's their race's league or it's the Asian American league. It's not like that, okay? People who make such a big deal over the race thing, stop, okay? It doesn't matter what race you are. If you are a good basketball player, you should be considered to go into the NBA and be successful. Or you should get that scholarship. Or you should be, identified by many people as a successful player. That's got to change. Those stereotypes are really ruining this game. Because if there were some GMs in the NBA or some, teams that were discriminatory towards Lin, then, well, guess what? They missed out big on Lin. Okay? Look, all those, look at, there are even so many stereotypes about Caucasians playing in the NBA. And it's like, come on. It doesn't really matter. Why do you need to be so racist? Why do you need to be so discriminatory towards others regardless of skin color? That shouldn't be the scenario. The scenario is, if you're a good basketball player, you should not be discriminated against. That should be the case for everything, and I hope this Lynn issue will resolve things. And if it does, thank you. If it doesn't, we've got some problems in the game of basketball. Some big problems in the game of basketball. So it needs to be fixed. It needs to be evaluated by many, especially who are deep to the game. Okay, let's move on to the NBA Hall of Fame. Who made it? Did Gary Payton make it? Did Bernard King make it? Wait, what about Tim Hardaway? Mitch Richmond? Tom Heinsohn? Gary Payton and Bernard King made it out of those 5. Rick Pitino made it. Maurice Cheeks, no. Hardaway, no. Spencer Haywood, no. Heinsohn, no. Mitch Richmond, no. So, those were the finalists. Rick Pitino. You got Jerry Tarkanian and Guy Lewis. Also, Jerry Tarkanian, yeah, well deserved there. And then got Pitino. Yep, that's an easy one. Gary Payton, very easy. Maurice Cheeks, I think he should have gone to the Hall of Fame. I mean, at least, look, there's so many great players. If Tim Hardaway doesn't make it next year, I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Mitch Richmond and Tim Hardaway revolutionized offense, along with Don Nelson and Chris Mullin. They revolutionized the offensive game in the game of basketball. So, if they're not going to the Hall of Fame very soon, someone needs to go take an investigation of that Hall of Fame committee. I mean, come on. If you're not going to put Mitch Richmond in, or Tim Hardaway, what's going on? What's going on? Gary Payton, he completely deserved it. Those people who say that Gary Payton should not go in the Hall of Fame, they just flat out don't know basketball. Gary Payton, unbelievable defensive point guard skills, and a guy, he had a perfect game, Gary Payton. So Gary Payton, great player. This Hall of Fame class, I think, will be one of the better classes that we'll see. Pitino, if he wins today in the national championship, then that will really validate things. I mean, even if Pitino doesn't win, it won't be like, oh, Pitino should not be in the Hall of Fame. No. Pitino's still a great coach. Pitino's in a lot. Pitino really means a lot to the game of basketball. So, I think Pitino completely deserves it, but if he does win tonight, then really just make things sweeter and validate things even more along with the speech. Just make things even better. That's really, I wanted to share that mostly with you guys in regards to this issue with the Hall of Fame. I just wanted to tell you who made it. Let's take one more break. Let's just take one more quick break, and we will be back in a moment.
There is no fee to get me down if I don't really feel your speed. See, I never trust them. Catch me, I'm ballin'. Tailor-made custom, must be I'm all in. Still want it like worst come to worst, to the point where I never call myself OG. Yeah, my end games never go OT. And if so, time's up like OC. And if not, then wasn't my calling. Catch me like Spalding, catch me like Spalding. Rest in peace to my Cali gold rushes here, we never stall. If all goes down and still get fouled, understand, man, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, catch me, I'm ballin', catch me, I'm ballin', catch me like Spalding, catch me like Spalding. If he indeed the MC, vitamin like GNC, new baby. Catch me, I'm ballin', catch me, I'm ballin', catch me like Spalding, catch me like Spalding. ABB to ALC, man, we stay on the J.O.B. Yeah.
We make our name known, baby. It's going down worldwide. We right here. And you know, I rep my crew to the fullest. Babu, Rocker, Alchemist, everybody. And I feel like every time I step to the plate, it ain't for me, man. It's for everybody. It's for everybody I rep, man. I came up under two things: be original and no selling out, man. That's what I'm hoping to say, man.
Back here on the Hardwood with Cameron Sadeghi. National sports. So, Gerald Wallace talking about how his shooting woes. And why is Gerald Wallace not putting the sphere in the bucket? Why? Well, he had this to say from the New York Post. My confidence is totally gone. I'm just at the point now, I'm in a situation where I feel like if I miss, I'm going to get pulled out of the game. You know what I'm saying? So my whole concept is that you can't come out of the game if you're not missing shots. I think I lost confidence of the coaching staff and my teammates. So my main thing is those guys can score. So instead of thinking about it so much, just trying to focus on defense, try to move the ball, and get those guys shots. I've been working, and I've been shooting, but it's hard, Wallace said. Regardless of how much work I'm doing on my shot, the fact of the matter is, it is what it is. I've been in the league 12 years. Am I mad about not being on the court? Am I mad about not making shots? Yeah, but my main thing is I'm trying to stay on the court. I know I can play defense, make plays for other guys, and try to do some things to help me stay on the court. Look, I am one of the biggest Gerald Wallace fans out there. Okay? In basketball, there's just no worse feeling in sports when you don't have confidence. Just in life in general. And confidence about shooting. That's the key thing with Wallace. And it's more of a mental thing. When you start missing 10 in a row, whether it's a game, when you start missing 5 in a row, and like they go in and out. They go in and out, and you're like, what? Next shot, air ball. Third shot, in and out. Fourth shot, hits the back iron. Fifth shot, hits the front of the rim. Sixth shot, completely misses the rim and bricks off the backboard. It's mind-crushing. It's heart-crushing when that happens to you. It's one of the worst things in the game of basketball. It really is. And Gerald Wallace, he's thrived himself on defense and athletic ability. But some days, at this age, at this time, you need that jumper. You don't have the athletic ability, you need to rely on something. Hey, could I be Jason Kidd, right? When Jason Kidd was in his prime with New Jersey, he wasn't that great of a shooter. But now all of a sudden he's turned into this amazing three-point shooter. I mean, you can't... If you dare to leave Jason Kidd open for a three, you're going to get paid. I mean, Gerald Wallace is trying to morph into that type of player, and, you know, when the confidence... Shooting, it's technique and confidence. It's technique and confidence. Okay? Well, more like consistency, technique, and confidence. People say, well, that's so easy. I can do that. Very difficult. Very difficult to be a great shooter in any league that you're in. Professional, college, D-League, whatever. High school, AAU. And it happens to every player at one point or another. Great player, horrible player, mediocre. And with Wallace, I'm not saying go get a psychologist, but I think he needs to talk with PJ Carlesimo and Popeye Jones, the coaching staff there, and just get it together. Just talk it out. You know, Gerald should go talk to this with PJ personally and just try to resolve and just say, and, you know, he said if I shoot and I miss, I'm taken out. So he could talk about that with PJ and say, hey, coach, I can't, you know, I feel like I'm on a burden. If I miss, I'm out. I can't do anything on the team. I can't be the contributor that I want to be on both sides of the floor because of my jump shooting that's going on right now. I need help, PJ, before we get to the playoffs. That should be considered and talked about in personally with PJ Carlesimo. Because when you're a player and you can't get shots to go, your confidence is low, it doesn't take mechanics to fix that. Okay? Gerald Wallace may not have the prettiest shot, but when he's confident, you know, he can knock it down. I mean, he's no Ray Allen, but he can knock down easy open spot-up shots. But when you start missing the open spot-up shots, and it's just like, dude, I can't get anything to go. You got to talk about that with your coach. You really do. It's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to go through. But it's something that you need to cure before it gets even worse, before it ruins your confidence with other things. Because when you, usually in the game of basketball, when you don't have confidence in your shot, that is the number one thing that most people don't have confidence in. When they start missing shots, that's the number one thing that they don't have confidence in. And then when that hurts them and they can't cure the issue, because it could be a month thing, it could be a week, it could be 3 games, but if you don't cure that issue quick, very quickly, it can affect your defense, your dribbling, your passing, everything else, all the other components of the game of basketball. It can really kill you. Not directly or not literally, but it can really kill your career. So Gerald's just gotta, you know, maybe you should ask PJ, hey, get me some easy buckets, okay? I want to come off this, you know, can we have a few set plays, or I can come off the screen and get some easy looks, or coach, can you set me some back screens so I can get some easy layups? I mean, can you look for me more on the backdoor cut? Can I get more post-ups so I can just get everything going, just get the flow of the game going, just get my confidence high, just to even see the ball go through the hoop will make me excited in games. I mean, I know that sounds so corny, and it sounds like, oh, who cares if you know, get your confidence high off of shooting off a post-up, jump hook, and I'll go through the... No, it's huge in the game of basketball. It really is. It's an underrated aspect of the game. Gerald needs to discuss that with PJ desperately before it gets worse. Because I really respect Gerald Wallace's playing ability. And I don't want this guy's career to just go down through the ground because of his shooting confidence. It's one thing I do not want to see. Next topic. You would not believe it. There is this guy. by the name of Michael Beasley. Remember Michael Beasley? Coming out in the draft, everyone wanted Michael Beasley. The Heat got him, and then he got released, and then he bounced around and became a journeyman. This is what Michael Beasley had to say. He's been playing some very good basketball. This is what was written in the Arizona Republic. Beasley finished with 25 points, his second best total of the season, and his fourth consecutive double-digit scoring game, matching his season's best streak. This is what he had to say. I just stopped listening to people, Beasley said. I'm doing what I know how to do. That's really it. The more I listen to people, the more I got to think about. So at times, it messes me up when I'm trying to think about 1,000 things at once. I just stopped listening to people and just started trusting my instincts again. And then the writer asked, what people? He said, everybody. My friends, my family, my teammates, and the coaches. Okay. It's one thing to trust your instincts, and as a player, you want to listen to your coach, and I totally get that. Your coach tells you something, and you take it to heart, you do it, and it's just not a good result. It's good to trust your instincts, but you need the coach's knowledge. You need that value. You can't just chuck it out the window. Okay? And then I don't listen to my family? I mean, what are you doing? I don't listen to my friends? What are you talking about? So you don't listen to your friends on any... Okay, I know that seemed too literally. Like, you don't care about them anymore? Look, with Michael Beasley, his career is just... it's really hit him right in the gut. He can't get... He's just having a tough time getting through this. But don't tell me that you're not listening to anybody. So I'm assuming you have no friends. Is that what I'm getting, Michael? Come on. He's had to listen to a few people. Otherwise, he wouldn't be at this position that he is right now. Okay? He's kind of a wiry guy. But I still believe in Michael Beasley. I still think he's going to be a solid player. It's just, he needs to get over this whole not listening and just everything that's gone around. He just needs to start fresh, start clean. Phoenix isn't a good spot for him, okay? That team with, you got Adadi. I like Adadi. He's a really good guy and everything, but not a good player. You got PJ Tucker, Dudley. You just got a bunch of expiring contracts. That's a really mean thing to say, but the Suns, they're just a team with a bunch of expiring contracts. And Michael Beasley's got to go to a contender. Go to a Boston. Go to a Chicago. Good cultures. Go to Indiana. Go to, come off the bench for Toronto. Those cultures. Miami, go win a title there. Go to OKC, you could be a factor. He's got to get himself in a solid team culture. A team that will teach him, well, not teach, but he just needs to be in a winning culture. Okay, you could tell. Everyone gets tired of losing, but it's gotten to a point where he's just fed up. He needs to go somewhere where he can win. He needs to find that great team locker room, great team culture. Hey, go to the Warriors, go to the Nuggets, go to the Grizzlies. Okay, those are good team cultures. Utah, okay? Utah is a pretty good team culture. Utah would actually... His value would be pretty big in Utah. He'd be a very important player for them. Could contribute a lot. You know, the Clippers. Okay, so he needs to find a way. Find anywhere, somewhere. Please. Michael Beasley, we do not like seeing you mad and angry. We want to see a very happy Michael Beasley. Let's take a break, and we'll be back. Back here, Hardwood with Cameron Sadeghi, and I have to say, really appreciate all the listens, all the plays that we've gotten here on Spreaker.com, National Sports. We're gonna have more shows, more. We're trying to, a lot of people have been busy lately, and we're trying to get shows in, and at this time it's really been a little bit of a challenge. So we apologize, but we are trying our best here on National Sports. So you've heard of the Rutgers. I mean, you got to. I mean, you've probably heard it from all the news stations, sports, Outside the Lines came out saying that Rutgers, Mike Rice, the head coach of Rutgers University, men's basketball, Outside the Lines had videotape, audio of Mike Rice absolutely humiliating his players, physically pushing them, throwing basketballs at them, at their heads, and yelling, belittling. And Ray Allen said he wants to fight Mike Rice. This is what Ray had to say. He said in the Palm Beach Post, this is what was written in the Palm Beach Post. Ray Allen not only watched it prior to entering the Heat's locker room Tuesday night, but he called over Heat teammates such as Norris Cole, Udonis Haslem, and Dwayne Wade to watch. I mean, this is what he had to say. I mean, it was just despicable. Allen said, not only as a parent, but I think about where I went, the places I've gone in my career. My parents kind of lent me to all these other people. I've been raised not only by my mom and dad, but by several coaches, AAU coaches, high school coaches, and then my college coach, and all of them had a hand in getting me to who I am today. And not to mention the teachers that I grew up under, learning. So we trust in the people we lend our kids off to help them grow. And I only hope when I let my kids go, there's somebody watching them and growing and making sure they do that. What I've seen in this video was despicable. It made me want to fight. It made me want to fight this guy, watching him throw the ball at those players. Because that's me, wanting to learn. You make mistakes. You're not doing it on purpose. You're trying to learn. And that's what coaches should do. You should teach. Yelling at kids and throwing balls at them. And there's no place for that. Allen said, if this happened at UConn, where he is on the board of directors, I would do everything I can to make sure the coach got fired, whether it was any sport, because there's no place for that. He is, this was on Slam Online, by the way. It's really a funny guy. Put a comment, he said, man, you know you're a blank when even Jesus wants to put a beat down on you. And then some other guy put, Mike Rice, the head dodgeball coach at Rutgers University, has been fired. So, kind of little funny comments, heartful, everything you're getting from a mixture of people. So, what I think, it's kind of obvious what this guy did was absolutely crazy and off the wall. I mean, look, there's one thing for coaches to, tell a guy, look, sometimes intimidation factor is needed in sports, especially basketball, I would say. Football, I mean, wow. Yeah, there's a ton of intimidation factor there. Basketball, you need it at times. But you can't... Look, if you're going to give guys concussions by throwing balls, come on. Okay? These are college players who are really trying to become successful, and you're going to be doing that? Pushing them? Come on. Okay, grabbing them. It's like, there's no need to do that. You just tell them what they did wrong. Yes, sometimes you need to yell, but you can't verbally just question people's character. There's one comment where question the sexuality of a player, or, well, not really, but called him something that was inappropriate, well, a lot of times in this video. So, you don't need to belittle your players. You just tell them what they did wrong, tell them better do it better next time. I mean, you obviously don't say it in that tone of voice. You don't say, hey, guys, hey, just, what, can you please, play better defense, better defensive sides, back straight, head not bobbling, head not moving, don't cross your feet. Yeah, guys, no, you don't say it like that, obviously, but you don't call people, the words that were mentioned in the video. Okay? You just say, hey, you just yell. You can yell and scream. That's fine. You can say, hey, push your hips back. Do this. Do that. It's okay to give those commands, but don't. I don't want to say intimidate, but don't be inhumane. That's what Mike Rice was during that time at Rutgers. He's fired, by the way, for those of you wondering. I mean, you probably know that already, but for those who don't. Look, and I don't understand. And in life, and in sports, management. In basketball, it's not. This isn't just okay. Basketball coaches need to do that. All coaches should be like this. You teach. You don't belittle. And it's so funny because in sports, let me take an example. Some high school coaches are teachers in classrooms. You may have your football coach or your swimming coach or your track coach. They may be a English teacher, a math teacher, a health teacher, or whatever the case may be. Do you ever see them belittle students in classrooms? Do you ever see them belittle, cuss out, do those things to students in the classroom? No. But in sports and physical activity, when the competitive juices start flowing and they're not thinking, this type of thing happens. Not all the time, but sometimes. So, again, I think, coaches need to be they need to reevaluate themselves. And it's one thing to get the message across, but you don't want to ruin team chemistry and ruin... To me, the message is just as important as the fashion that it's been said in. So if I say defensive slide should be like blank, 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 I mean this, and that, that message is critical. But if you don't say it the correct way, what's the value? That's the same thing here. Like, when I saw him coach, it wasn't coaching. It wasn't like when he got mad at the player for running the fast break incorrectly, or not doing the defensive slide incorrectly, or not rotating correctly, or not jab stepping correctly, or... He didn't say, hey, you did this wrong. He said, hey, you are blank, blank, blank. He wasn't teaching and telling you and identifying and correcting. He was making the issue worse. That's what needs to be reevaluated. Not the message, but the fashion it's stated in should be reevaluated amongst coaches around college, high school, AAU, youth, everywhere. Professional. I mean, hey, if Phil Jackson, PJ Carlesimo, Doc Rivers did something like this, they would be grilled. They'd be ran out of the gym the split second they'd do such a thing. What Mike Rice did. But hey, college coaches have a ton of power. That's a whole topic for another day. But that's the main thing I wanted to, get here. This issue. Coaches need to reevaluate the fashion that they state their message in. Intimidation, yeah, you need it sometimes. Sometimes that's really how you have to get your message across. If you feel like your team is playing lackluster defense, yes, you do have to be a tiny bit intimidating. But that doesn't mean that you belittle guys and question people's character. That's the one thing you don't do. Just want to make sure I was clear on that. Please call, please comment, please do anything that you want to do. 949-456-2911, 949-456-2911. That's the number for your voice to be heard. Okay, you know what? Last thing I want to finish up with here. The top 10 most overpaid NBA players. Top 10. Who is it? I'm going to tell you. Forbes.com came out with an article that said, who are the top 10 most overrated NBA players? Let me tell you. Carmelo Anthony makes $19.4 million, and they call him overrated. He says a big-time scorer who can really get on a roll at times, just very inefficient. Anthony shoots 44% and gets fewer than 3 assists per game. Okay. I'll tell you what, that's dead wrong right there. I don't think Carmelo's overpaid. Well, first of all, I think NBA players are overpaid, all of them. Okay, even LeBron. I don't think players should be making that much money. But again, considering the way that the paying system is and the way money works in the NBA, Carmelo is not overpaid. Ben Gordon of the Charlotte Bobcats, as you know, $12.4 million. That's a salary. Career 43% shooter, 41% this year. Scoring has declined. I agree with that one. Ben Gordon is really overpaid, okay, in Charlotte. Look, the offense is bad in Charlotte, but still overpaid. He's gone to the last few years of his basketball career. Joe Johnson, overpaid, $19.75 million. They talk about Johnson's scoring average. I think Joe Johnson is overpaid, but I still think he's a quality player. I still think he's a player that you need to become successful. Let's see here. Hedo Turkoglu. Hito, yeah, I'd say so. But I think when he was in Toronto, that really ruined him. Ever since he went to Toronto, he struggled. And Phoenix, those were his real dark years. And that's really, he's just gotten to that point where he needs to go. He needs to go. I like Hito Turkoglu a lot, but he needs to go. Dirk Nowitzki overpaid? Yeah, right. $20.9 million salary. No, Dirk Nowitzki is the Dallas Mavericks offensively. They go through everything with him. Yes, he got hurt a little bit this year and it banged up, but no, Dirk Nowitzki is definitely not overpaid. Corey Maggette, overpaid $10.9 million. I totally agree with that. Corey Maggette was good in 06 with the Clippers, in Detroit, and just not that great at all. Detroit is overpaying him. Rudy Gay is not, in my opinion, an overpaid, yes, a little bit. They did dump him, the Grizzlies, because of his contract. It was a money deal. Yes, he is overpaid, but still a great player. Steven Jackson, I like Captain Jack a lot. $10.1 million salary. You know what? I'm going to have to say he's slightly overpaid. Well, not slightly, but look, I like Steven Jackson a lot. He's one of my favorite players, bench players in the NBA. Chris Kaman, yeah, he's overpaid. $8 million salary. Look, with the Clippers, it was really nice. All-star caliber. But now, it's the end. And Aaron Aflalo, $7.8 mil. Shoots 30% on 3-point. He's just had a tough time adjusting, in Orlando ever since the absence of Howard. And, Orlando's just, they're going through tough times. So, I can understand his struggles. And, yeah, he is overpaid. So, again, some of these players, correct, they are overpaid. But, hey, Carmelo and Dirk, they are not overpaid. They are not overpaid. They are solid players in this league. Superstar caliber. So, no, you are wrong, Forbes, on that. The list wasn't completely right. But for the most part, you were right. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone. Really appreciate National Sports. NBA show, we may have one this week. I'll tell you another one. And enjoy the national championship today between Louisville and Michigan. That's going to be on CBS. I think the tip is at 6:23, 6:30, 6:20. You can find out CBS. We'll have the coverage there. Thank you very much. And like always, hasta luego.